Since the Oracle was released alongside Oxyotl, I've always liked him as a companion to Kroq-Gar. Today, this dynamic duo is going to be taking on my Ogre Kingdoms. This is basically an exact copy of the Ogre Kingdoms build I brought against Bretonnia. Slaughtermaster of the Great Maw, Hunter on a Stonehorn, two Iron Guts, Iron Blaster, 5 Gnoblars, 2 Saber Tusks here, and a Crusher in the woods. 2 more Saber Tusks over here. This time, though, we're going to be against Kroq-Gar. Sends a nice Hand of the Gods, which just fully misses the Slaughtermaster there. Pretty painful. Skink Oracle, of course. We've also got Saurus Spears, 4 of them. Some Skink Cohort with Javs, 3 of them. And some Lizard Cavalry. 2 Cold One Riders and 2 Salamander Hunting Packs. Now, Salamander Hunting Packs seem pretty nice on paper, but the one thing I think I've learned in this early access, well, I learned it before this early access, but it's been hammered home through repeated land battles and other matchups, is that Crushers are scary, especially in land battles against certain factions. Crushers are very, very scary, so we'll see. The Salamanders don't have armor-piercing damage, whereas something like the Lizardmen Hunting Packs would, but we're already missing a nice frontline engagement of Gnoblars versus Saurus. Unshielded Spear Saurus, which is just fine. They're going to be very cost effective, like I said, at fighting any of the ogres. Thankfully, I didn't bring any bulls. There's a visual glitch with bulls in our current build, so you won't be seeing them in any replays. But I don't know if I would really take them here anyway. I do think like the armor of the Iron Guts and the Crushers is going to be quite good. Big old cavalry engagement getting underway. Speaking of the Iron Guts, they're mixed in here. Slaughtermaster is also mixed in here. Oracle firing from a distance there, the Crushers making their way over. We kind of baited in an engagement with those Saber Tusks. The Saber Tusks managed to mostly get away without taking too much damage, and then between the Iron Blaster, the Iron Guts, and the Crushers, able to do pretty well. But here comes Kroq-Gar, a little preemptive Earthblood there to help heal up some of those Saurus and other units in the vicinity. Skink Oracle also, and the Javelins doing quite a bit of damage to that Hunter. The Salamanders also almost went into tactical reserve, but now are being used to try and go after those Iron Guts there. As my Crushers continue to pursue the cavalry in the back line, Saber Tusks get enraged by that volley of javelins and run right into the Saurus Spears. The other one successfully makes it into the javelins, while the Iron Blaster is going to have to scoot and shoot, considering that my Gnoblar line, unsurprisingly, has crumbled already, and the Iron Guts can only be in so many places at once. So the Iron Blaster is going to have to fend for itself, and thankfully it does have the speed to do so. Likewise, the Hunter trying to fend for himself gets caught out in the open, even with Bull Gorgers just trading horribly against Kroq-Gar. So we'll get a nice cinematic shot of these guys. I don't think they have matched animations. Like, oh, let's see. That kind of looked matched. It's a little bit janky, but there you go. Lizard Cavalry also getting a nice surround charge. They all deal armor-piercing damage, so really bad situation for my Stone Hunter. That's fine. The Iron Guts have managed to get the Skink Oracle trapped up. The Crushers were chasing the Salamanders until the end of days, just trying to prevent themselves from getting shot. They are now on fire, getting a little tired, but they're not taking a whole lot of damage from the Salamanders, and that's the important part. Iron Blaster able to continue firing. We've also got the Saber Tusk packs available for another engagement once we need them. A little bit of damage from the Salamanders. It definitely does deal damage, don't get me wrong, but not nearly as much as the Lizardmen would have. Skink Oracle also kind of getting pounded here. Slaughtermaster, definitely a very potent fighter, caster, hybrid character, but with all the cavalry coming home to roost, kind of have to stay with the Crushers to a degree, so we're going to leave the Iron Guts out there and just let them, face their fate. The other Iron Guts are continuing to just get Gnoblar reinforcements, and as long as they have Gnoblars to help them fight these Saurus Spears, they should be able to handle it. The armor definitely helps, even though the Saurus Spears have pretty decent AP values, pretty high weapon damage overall. That armor of the Iron Guts makes a difference, for sure, and helping to just finish things off as all the Gnoblars saturate in. The Crushers turning around again to try and chase the Salamanders. Anytime I think my opponent's micro might be lapsing a little bit, I'm going to try and just charge these guys out to keep the pressure up, keep them honest, My Stonehorn Hunter did come back from route. He is way out in the distance there, but perhaps I can bring him back in to at least throw some jabs. Second Hand of the Gods lands square on the Iron Blaster, which is pretty good. Might have been worth it to try and use it on the Iron Blaster at the beginning. I don't know, maybe the slope did affect it. I know sometimes shooting off of a slope can affect certain units' accuracy, so wouldn't be surprised if that were the case with the Krokgar's Hand of the Gods there. But as I tried disengage with the Sabertusk packs, of course, they have Enrage, and a lot of people have been asking me to look at Primal Instincts. It did get changed. It now no longer has an Enrage component, making your units go out of control, but is just purely a buff enabled once Lizardmen units go below 50% HP. So unlike, it's like kind of the opposite of martial prowess in many ways, right? Like instead of getting weaker as they get damaged, they actually get stronger. And I believe, let's check some of the monsters. I believe, okay, so the Skink Oracle doesn't have it on the Troglodon. Doesn't look like Krokgar has it up on Grimlock. So we'll check some of these other units here. Salamanders do have it. I don't think they did before, so I think they added it to quite a few of the units. Maybe not the heroes or lords yet, but anyway. Salamanders running from the Sabertusks, running from the Crushers. Other Salamanders routed off, but they're now back firing at the Slaughtermaster. He's going to have to run for his little life because he is in grave danger. The rest of the army here, Sabertusks again getting cornered and caught and killed by Skin Cohorts and Cold One Spear Riders, although they're doing okay. Stonehorn Hunter also coming back to throw some jabs. Maybe we'll be able to turn that around. The true champions of the Ogre Kingdoms, those Iron Guts, are still holding out in that giant pocket of Saurus, but this is where the decisive engagement happens, is Krokgar gets surrounded by Crushers who are not that much smaller than him. I mean, look at this size comparison, guys. Like, oh man, if that doesn't just accurately describe how huge Crushers are, I don't know what does. Krokgar does manage to fell one, but that kind of insane elite armor-piercing anti-large in a full surround, even against a strong combat character like Krokgar, only 40 melee defense on him, and he gets torn to shreds. Manages to disengage there before the end, but definitely feeling the hurt. He could get some Earthbloods from the Oracle, could perhaps come back in this fight. The Oracle's currently hunting down the Iron Blaster, which itself just got a big heal from the Slaughtermaster. Now also trying to engage. We're desperately trying to get these Sabertusks over here to clean up these ranged units, because my opponent's hope here is if he can get some solid volleys from the Salamanders and try and finish off the Crushers, he could perhaps win, but the armor of the Crushers is just 120. Makes enough of a difference. I mean, AP damage is pretty decent, but it's not incredible. 17 AP per shot with 2 explosive AP damage. The rest of that non-armor piercing damage is not going to be getting through. The bonus versus large of 26. I don't remember if that applies. It seems like it maybe applies to the explosion damage. I'm not sure exactly. I'd have to remember and maybe look it up and ask some people. But anyway, Krokgar does manage to finish off the Hunter once more. Hopefully actually chase him all the way off the field. But Iron Blaster still has a little bit of ammunition left. So this one health unit of Saurus looking pretty juicy at this point. Slaughtermaster also, you can see the Crushers there in the distance going after the Oracle. It's mostly a swing and a miss there. Only hit a couple of models on that volley. Pretty shameful, actually. But, oh yeah, the Oracle just gets straight up killed by Crushers. Wasn't fast enough to get away. Crushers hit their charge animation. Even with the poison, they're able to get in and get it done. And nasty. I mean, this unit of Crushers got almost 5,000 damage value. Granted, I was dumping all of my magic into buffing and healing them. Pretty much besides that one Troll Gust that went into the Iron Blaster, all of my other magical support was on those Crushers. And given their elite status and the nature of the tools in this matchup, I definitely see them being quite strong. But on the flip side, I do think had my opponents just had Razordons instead of Salamanders, it would have been a lot scarier. That armor-piercing damage might have been enough, given even the lanes he had and the volleys he was able to get, probably would have done significantly more damage to these Crushers here. But another Bull Gorger on them, another Troll Guts just to finish things off. Still 10 unit models online, 73 attack, 153 weapon damage. And army losses kicks in for the Lizardmen. So a pretty brutal one, but hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that one. It's actually closer than it looked. I know the Crushers like carried me super hard, but outside of that, I mean, the Iron Guts didn't pay for themselves, even though tactically Saber Tusks kind of assisted the Crushers. They didn't actually pay for themselves in terms of damage value. Gnoblars do in many cases. I find that they trade reasonably cost effectively against Skinks with the right support. Stonehorn Hunter also got absolutely smashed in the face, but the Crushers, and the Iron Blaster too, but especially the Crushers there, just absolutely nasty. Krokar and the Oracle, though, I do like this combination quite a bit. I think the Rev Crystal could be a decent pick here. It's a little bit risky against the range damage of the Ogres, but healing of it, I think they're going to nerf the healing of it, and even still will probably be worthwhile, especially on these higher HP monstrous characters. Solar Spheres, obviously a good choice here. I mean, I can't argue with that too much, even though they didn't get that much value. They mostly were forced to fight Gnoblars, but I mean, I don't know what other infantry you'd go with here. Maybe some more Javs. And likewise, the Salamanders, again, even though they paid for themselves, I just think if these were Razordons instead, they would have also paid for themselves and might have actually won the battle. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.